we talk recruiting. A lot of times I like to call him up like, hey, well, who do I need to know? And he will talk. Listen, he was the first guy who told me about Roquan Smith, and Roquan Smith was a sophomore in high school. And like before the start of his sophomore, like, you need to know this cat right here. He's about 185 pounds right now. He's going to be bigger than that. And Roquan Smith may wear a gold jacket one day. So, we've got that ahead of us too. What you been up to, man? Has anything been going on today for you?
Yeah, just a quiet regular Monday, huh? Wasn't it?
Just a calm Monday.
How insane was that stretch from like 4 o'clock to like 5:30, man? I mean, between Beck, I was going to say between Beck, Raiola, and Marvin Jones Jr. Making the FSU thing official. I mean, that got out of hand there pretty quickly.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say it right now. I don't know who was advising the Raiolas. Listen, congratulations to him, and I hope he gets a chance to play right away and all of his dreams come true. But you kind of played yourself on that. You kind of made yourself look scared a little bit, or at least a little salty. But whatever. I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, what an afternoon.
Hell of a poet, though. Yeah. That was to me. Now, listen. Yeah, you've seen.
I'm not looking to talk about that. I can't do it. I can't talk about the poem. Okay.
No. Here's the thing. I know you've seen some AI generated stuff. To me, that read like something off ChatGPT. Personally.
Conspiracy theorist Jake.
I don't know if that makes it better or worse. To be honest with you.
January 6th, an inside job, Jake Roots. All right. Hey, listen, let's talk about our friends over at GameTime.co. We love GameTime, man. Smart, intuitive app, smooth as a baby's bottom. I may try to get some Dave Chappelle tickets for when we are in Fort Lauderdale, the Hard Rock Casino, the Guitar Motel there. I think there's some there, maybe.
Yeah. Palmer got to quit pulling up the Falcons tickets first. No, you're not going to get the $20 off on Game Time because you'll never meet the threshold.
Yeah. The Falcons tickets don't work, man. I mean, the Falcons tickets going to get us canceled faster than anything else. But yeah, man, thinking about going to see Dave Chappelle. We're down there for the Orange Bowl. Real excited about that. Georgia fans, if you're coming up later that week, he's going to be there all week long. He's literally going to say, "Tip your waitress. I'll be here all week long." So go down, check it out. Game Time. You get to see exactly what your seats look like from that vantage point. And for now, you can get $20 off of your first order. Terms apply with the promo code DAWGS, DAWGS. Use that promo code DAWGS to get $20 off your first order and to, give us some love over there. Even if you don't use it, if you don't get $20, throw that one in there. Maybe it'll ring up something in Game Time. Be like, those guys at DawgsHQ, they got our back. Because we do, and we love them. When we do this read every show, and it just gets weirder for me every time because I'm trying to find something new to say, and I can't because they're awesome. All right, let's talk about our guy. Let's bring our guy Joe Wendon on real quick. Thanks. And it only takes a second to get him on, unless you're Palmer Toms. It takes 5 minutes.
Right.
What's up, Joe? How's it going, dude?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming on, man. Like we said, man, we've all known you for a long time. I think it's important, Joe, though, that you kind of introduce yourself. Can you give the people just a little bit of background on your job, what you do, what National Preps is, because there's a lot to this that is kind of behind the scenes in a lot of cases.
Yep. So I think a lot of people are familiar with, or certainly your audience is familiar with the .com side of recruiting coverage. We are what's called a scouting service. So colleges pay us through the NCAA to go out and help them identify and evaluate kids. And essentially, you can think of it as an extension of their player personnel department. Whereas smaller schools may only have the budget to have 2 or 3 guys in their recruiting office, whereas big schools like Georgia have an entire department dedicated to it. But Georgia is one of our clients, and I don't know that they need our service. I think they use it to help and cross-check some of what they do. But more than anything, I've known Kirby since maybe 2000. when he was at Valdosta State. He was recruiting Georgia Military College at that time, and I was a player. He wasn't recruiting me. He was recruiting better players than me. But but I did meet him then, and then I actually worked for Dale McGee when he was coaching at Carver High School. And then when I started getting into coaching offensive line, Dale sent me to see Stacy Searles, and that's one of the guys that I learned a lot about coaching offensive line from. And there's just a lot, I've known Mike Bobo since Devin Burns tried to commit to Georgia, if you guys remember that story.
I remember it. That's when Dale kicked him out of Carver High School for a little while, wasn't it?
Yeah. I've known Bobo since maybe before then, and just know a lot of guys on that staff. And but basically, schools like, for instance, Pittsburgh or NC State, they don't have as many grassroots hooks in the state of Georgia, right? They may not know about guys before they start to get offers, and that's where a service like ours comes into play for them. And then smaller schools like Mercer use us kind of as an extension of their recruiting department, and even D3 schools like Barry. So it's the gamut from top to bottom, but we don't deal with their kids a whole lot. It's mostly just talking with high school coaches to identify players, and then evaluating those guys, seeing them in person, getting them to camp, and then passing that information on to college coaches.
So you and I have talked about this before, Joe, but what are college coaches like more than anything else? I mean, I know that they want every piece of information they can get, but what's the main thing they're looking at when they talk to you? What do they want to know from you?
A lot of times, initially, it's, who's the next guy, just to get the next name, right, of who they need to start, to look at, whether it be their recruiting area based on geographics for some staffs, and whether it be the position that they coach on some staffs. Like Georgia basically position recruits, right? So my conversation with Dale would be like, hey, who are the 2026, 2027 running backs that you've seen that you like? Whereas that conversation with Mercer would be different, and they'd be like, hey, who have you seen in the Houston, Bibb County area that might be a guy for us? And then once you've identified that kid, then they'll a lot of times ask, hey, have you had him at one of your events? Have you been around him? Because we have camps where I get a chance to see kids in a competitive environment, but also help the Coaches Association with putting together their all-star rosters. So each year we get about 80 of the top sophomores and 80 of the top juniors in the state, and we bring them to one location and do good on good and film that. And so a lot of times, a kid that's in a small program, maybe a single A, double A program, and he gets to get in an environment where everybody around him is a prospect, coach say, how did he perform in that environment? Was he able to rise to the challenge, this, that, and the other? So initially it's identify who it is, where they are, and then as they get into knowing that kid, hey, what can you tell me that I don't see on tape? From mentality of him, what have you seen? What have you talked to coaches? What have you heard from opponents? A lot of times, you want to know, hey, the kid plays at Charlton County. What did the coaches at Irwin think of him when they played? And so that's good information to know what the opponents think about the kids.
Sure. No, for sure. Now I don't, if this is too much inside baseball, please feel free to just say no comment on this one. But you talked about, you guys got schools, like you said, D1 level, all the way down to D3. That's what I was saying, kind of kicking this thing off, is to me, this is a lot larger operation than a lot of people probably give it credit for. How many schools are you guys working with?
247 throughout the country, which spans Power Fives, Georgia, Clemson, Alabama, Florida State, to NAIA, junior college, D2, D3. Basically, if you say University of Nebraska, Kearney, right? That's a small D2 school in Nebraska. their offensive line coach has got roots from Georgia. Like he grew up here. He coached at Savannah State. He coached at West Georgia for a little bit. He wants to recruit the state. Well, he can't get down here and do it, right? So as we're gathering the names for the Georgias, the Georgia States, the Georgia Southerns throughout the state, we're also gathering the names for the guys that would be Shorter, Berry, West Georgia, Valdosta State, Georgia Military College, junior college, right? And we have so many good players in our state, all throughout the state, north, south, east, west, metro, that when you just gather that information and you pass it on to a school like Nebraska Kearney, and they're not going to come to Georgia and sign 10 kids, but they may come down here and get a skill kid that has a different skill set than what they can get in Nebraska. They got plenty of offensive linemen and tight ends right there at home, but they may come down here and get a kid that, Valdosta State and West Georgia may say, we got better. But that kid could be a real difference maker for them in their league because they're playing against some different type kids.
Yeah.
So 247 colleges throughout the country at all levels. And then we have people like me that are strategically throughout the country, in Texas, Florida, Midwest, California, the Mid-Atlantic with Maryland, D.C., Virginia. So there are 13 of us that do what I do throughout the country for national preps.
So I just got a text from a friend of the show, a guy that's been on with us multiple times, Matt Godwin. You know Matt Godwin, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Matt Godwin says, Matt said, tell Joe Wendon he ain't shit. That's what he said to me. I'm joking. He didn't say that.
Hey, you know what? He's absolutely true. I'm a legend in my own mind.
No, I told Matt I was going to do that, but no, Matt
is a great dude. College football is missing a guy like him, and the company he went to work for that rents the planes, they stole a good one. That guy's a great dude.
Yeah, he is. He's awesome. He's been on Bark After Dark 3 times. He's been on the Georgia show once. So he comes on with us frequently and likes to, I don't know, he lends us his time and we goof off, and he just kind of, lets us have a run at a place for a little bit. So, hey, I want to go back to your time at Georgia Military, because that's when I got to know you. And, dude, I'll be honest with you, that I still think about it sometimes, that combine that you had. You said, hey, man, just come on over here. We got a combine going over here. So I just rolled up over to Georgia Military, and there's like an upper practice field and lower practice field. And I ended up filming what's his name? What's the big offensive lineman's name?
Trent Brown.
I ended up filming a Georgia commitment video with Trent Brown that day. I ended up using that video, but then he ended up flipping to Florida because I think Georgia kind of slow played him a little bit. Ended up being a pretty much star in the NFL, really good player.
That's a piece. And listen, you'll have to ask Will Friend whether or not he played anything into it. But I'll tell you how stupid people are. And this is me being stupid, not Will Friend. So
I was so excited there for a minute.
So we signed Trent out of Albany. He had grown up a basketball kid. His dad had played professional basketball over in Europe, and Trent had kind of dabbled in football, right? But finally, his senior year in high school, he was like, I'm not going to be a basketball guy, so I'm going to be a football guy. So we signed him. He's 6'7". He's 260 pounds. He's thin, right? But he had unbelievable feet and balance, and he was one of those guys, a lot like we had a kid at Carver High School named Gabe Wright. Ended up playing at Auburn and then played in the NFL for a little bit. But he and Gabe were similar in that you could tell them something one time and you never had to tell them again. Like they could just get it, right? And so Trent was that way. He would pick up anything really fast. So he comes in and you're thinking, okay, it's going to be a red shirt year. He ends up winning this friggin' right tackle job in fall camp. Anyway, he plays the whole year at like 260, 265. Well, this was the first time he'd never had to play basketball in the offseason, really had a chance to get nutrition and weights. So I look up in the winter, it's March, and he's 320 pounds, right? And he gained a bunch of weight really fast. and it messed with his knees. It messed with his knees, and I didn't quite understand that at the time. So we're running, we're lifting, we're doing things, and he's complaining about his knees, and I'm calling him everything that you can call somebody. You know what I mean? Like he's the biggest vagina to ever play football.
That's the word you used. I know it is.
Yeah, and I'm on the phone with Will Friend one day, and I said, Will, you need to cut this motherfucker loose. I said, this kid ain't gonna be worth a shit. He's soft. He's this. He's that. Da 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 da. Right, and I'm sure that didn't end up influencing what they decided to do with Trent. But Trent ends up going to Florida, and then ends up getting drafted in the 7th round. And about 3 years ago, he signed the largest contract in NFL history at that time for an offensive lineman. So I'm an idiot because I thought he was soft. You watch him play for the Patriots now, and every time it's like short yardage goal line, they run right behind his big ass right there because all he does is dent the line of scrimmage every time he comes off.
He was one of those cats that I remember seeing, and I was like, first of all, if you had a neck, you'd be 7 foot tall because his head just sat right directly on top of his shoulders. And he had ankles like that big around. I mean, like he had ankles I feel like I could wrap my hand around. He had ankles like my 8-year-old daughter's wrist. I mean, it was
he's a freak show. And I tell you, my mind just went blank, but you'll know who I'm talking about. The kid, the big lineman that's at Georgia now that's from Blakely County.
Mims.
Mims.
Yes. So Vaughn Lassiter is a friend. I met Vaughn when he was at Houston County. And Jake when he was young and whatnot. But anyway, Vaughn is the head coach over at Blakely County this kid's freshman year. And Mims had an older brother that had the same mother, different father, different last name. And I was going to see that kid because he was a 6'4", 190-pound wide receiver, but he had won the state high jump the year before as a junior. And I was going to see him, and Vaughn says, hey, listen, this freshman offensive lineman I got is a freak show. You're just going to have to see. So I watch the kid, and I'm not kidding you. I'm not embellishing. I told Vaughn that night, I said, Vaughn, this is what I imagine Trent Brown looked like when he was 15 years old. Just long, lean, athletic, but you could tell he's a baby deer right now. He does not have a clue how to play the position, but if he gets any teaching whatsoever, the kid's going to be a freak show. And I hit on that one. I missed on a lot of them, but I hit on that one.
Well, you hit on Roquan Smith years and years ago. I do know that. I mean, I got another one that I like a lot now. It's a 26 kid out of Jeff Davis High School. You know what Jeff Davis is? Oh, Hazelhurst, baby.
Okay. Just write this name down. Latrell Sellers. He plays safety now. He's a safety linebacker hybrid. He's like 6'2", 200. He's going to play in our sophomore all-star game down at Jekyll Island, and I think that kid is going to be one of the more highly recruited kids in the state. He is a freak that's going to end up playing linebacker and can cover backs and tight ends, but he will absolutely stroke you given the opportunity to. And he can run and change direction.
Awesome.
Now I'm over here interrupting the show, going over to Twitter to go see if I can find this. Add him to my list, man.
Hey, I'll be honest.
He's on Twitter. He's on Twitter. You can find him. He should be able to just look up his name. Let me see. I had it up here, man. I got it. Yeah, if you just take up Latrell Sellers, you'll find him.
I got see that was that.
I just dropped his huddle in our group chat, guys.
Yeah, that's right. So that was back when Joe used to tell me about kids back when a little bit before huddle was as readily available for everybody as it is now. And so I didn't really understand it at the time, but I was covering recruiting. I was kind of like, hey, if I just go ahead and start talking to everybody he tells me to talk to, like when it's time for stuff to go down, like I'll be the one they talk to. I wasn't smart enough to realize that at the time, or it would have been me riding the Roquan Smith recruiting into stardom like Jake Roos did. But here we are today. So,
hey, and I had a similar, and he won't admit it. If you ever get Todd Hartley cornered in a corner and you try to talk to him about, he and I had a conversation shortly after Roquan's junior year. And he was like, man, I don't know if he's big enough. Da, 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 da. I was like, dude, I'm just telling you, this kid can do anything you ask him to do. He is big enough to make it work. But the thing about it is, you don't have – if an offensive lineman gets his hands on him, yeah, he's got a chance to block it. The problem is he can't get his hands on him. The guy's so quick, and he reads, and his instincts were so – off the chart, man. He would see something and hit it and go because he played linebacker like a running back. He was such a good running back that he could see where the ball was going.
I'm curious.
But yeah, if you get a chance, he may not admit it now, but Todd Hartley and I know the truth. he wasn't sold at the end of his junior year. He had some more selling. He had some more selling to do for himself, and that was at the time when Ty was in the personnel role in Athens. He wasn't on. He was doing personnel at the
time. Joe, I'm curious, man. I think everybody's going to want to know, have you had some experience with some guys in this 2024 Georgia signing class, with it being National Signing Day here on Wednesday? The guy that I thought might be like kind of right in your wheelhouse would be DeMello Jones from Swainsboro.
You know, I never had DeMello at my event, and I never had him in an all-star game. We invited him, but he couldn't come and play. But I have seen him in person. I watched him as a 10th grader, and then I watched him again as a junior. And the thing that stands out about him is if you put him in an environment with fast guys, he's still the fastest guy, right? and I don't know what he runs in the 40, and I don't know what his GPS number would be if you put a vest on him and all of that. But I can assure you, if you put somebody on the field with him and he needs to catch them or run away from them, I don't think there's too many people that can outrun that guy, or that can get away from him. And he's so quick, his change of direction from A to B, some guys are straight line fast, and then some guys are really quick. And you find a guy that's really quick and straight line fast, that's really, really difficult to find. And it seems like when you go see a kid like that in practice at a small school, right? A lot of times those kids are going through the motion because they are so much better than everybody on the field. They don't get challenged that much. But if you watch him in practice, like, he's the same way in practice that he is in a game. Like, he's highly competitive. I don't think you want to play him in a game of Monopoly because he'd try to destroy you. I mean, the guy's just highly competitive. When you take a great athlete that is highly competitive, those are the guys you want. That's the difference between good and great, in my opinion.
Are we getting to a point where you brought up a good point there, where if you can find a guy that's big time fast, straight line, big time quick, that it almost doesn't matter how big they are anymore? I mean, obviously you can't have a kid out there 5 foot or anything like that, but it's like 5'6", 5'7", and above. You kind of got to look at every single kid that can move in both ways.
Okay, quick story about how dumb I am. I'm coaching offensive line at Georgia Military College. We're going through our recruiting board. Tyreek Hill from Coffee.
Yeah.
Mario Alford from
wait a minute. He's from Pearson, Georgia, just so we can all be
he was at Coffee at the time when we were thinking about recruiting him, okay? But there was another kid that in high school was very similar to him. His name was Mario Alford.
Yeah, okay? I remember Mario.
So Mario comes to GMC and then ends up going to West Virginia, gets drafted by the Bengals. He's out of the NFL in like 2 years. But here's the discussion. We were going to take one quote-unquote peanut, okay, which is what we called the small, quick, fast running back slot hybrid guy, right? And so we're going around the table of, it was Mario Alford or it was Tyreek Hill. And Mario Alford was 2 inches taller than Tyreek Hill. And at the end of the day, that's the reason that we took Mario Alford instead of Tyreek Hill. So, yeah, don't get caught up on how tall a superior athlete is. If he can roll, take the guy that can, and they both could run. You know what I mean? It wasn't a question of whether or not Mario Alford or Tyreek Hill. You know what? If you had those two in a foot race at that time, you probably could have flipped the coin on who was going to win the foot race. But Tyreek had that change of direction that was elite that we didn't take into consideration, along with the 2 inches taller that Mario Alford was. So to answer your question, yes, I do think that if a guy has elite speed and elite quickness, as long as he's not under 170 pounds, like that's the thing. And I'm not knocking this kid, but there's an example in Georgia right now of the young man from Jones County, who's a track guy, who's 4'3", 4'2", 22 miles an hour, whatever you want to say. And as a 10th grader, he was getting a lot of attention and a lot of offers. Well, I go down to see the kid, and I do a height and weight, and he was 5'9", and he was 147 pounds. And I started to tell my clients, I was like, look, he's 147 pounds, and when you look at his frame, I don't know how much weight he can hold. And the thing is, speed is a great ability, quickness is a great ability, but the number one ability is availability, right? He's got to be healthy enough to be on the field to use those attributes. So on some level, the size matters because of being able to stay healthy, especially in a league like the SEC, where that linebacker that's hitting you is 230 to 240 pounds. That safety that's trying to decapitate you is anywhere from 190 to 220 pounds. And when those guys get a run and start at a slot who's 155, 160 pounds, physics takes over and the guy just can't hold up, And so in a way, the size doesn't matter, Jake, but the build's got to be there for the kid to be able to hold up and stay healthy, I think.
Joe, I wanted to ask you, one of the things that when Jake said you were coming on with us, I started thinking about, you've seen a lot of guys. I'm curious, who are a couple of guys that really stand out in your mind that you've seen over the years? I mean, just like surefire freaks, knew it from the jump. Roquan's in there, I'm sure, but just like dudes that you knew there was no doubt it was going to work out for.
I guess one of the guys, I was so close to this kid because I was coaching there at the time, but Isaiah Crowell to me was a no-brainer in the 10th grade. Because you look at that guy and he was 5'11", 190 pounds in the 10th grade, and there just wasn't anything that he couldn't do. Like he could make you miss, he could run over you, he could run around you, he could run by you. And the off the field stuff, like if you ask anybody who's known that kid most of his life, like that wasn't him in Columbus, and I think it was a circumstance where it was just kind of wrong place, wrong time, wrong people around him kind of thing. But Isaiah was one of them. And for the life of me right now, you guys are going to know who I'm talking about. The big tackle at Westlake right now, who's a junior. Juan. So yeah. I saw Juan at an 8th grade all-star game when he was an 8th grader. So there's a guy who does some stuff named Alex Benson, and Alex does a bunch of youth stuff, and he had this middle school all-star game. And he's got these linemen out there, and I go over there and I say, who is that kid? That's Juan Gaston. I was like, oh my gosh. So I just watch him and I make a note. I'm like, let's see what happens. So then I go back, and Westlake is playing against Decula High School. No, they were playing Archer at Decula, like on the Thursday night of the first games of the Corky Kell of Juan's freshman year. And he's playing right tackle. He's playing left tackle. He's coming in playing guard. And I'm taking videos and I'm texting every college coach that I know. And I'm like, if you don't know who this guy is, get to know him because he is a freak, you know. And one that I missed on was the kid from Tift County, D lineman, a couple of years ago that went up to Tennessee. Tyree. So I love Tyree's freshman film, and I guess maybe sometimes you get caught up in like what he did in Region 1's 7A as a freshman. And so that kind of made me think a little more of him than what he was. But then as a 10th grader, we bring him to our sophomore all-star game. And then the defensive end that's at Georgia now that was from Hardaway High School. They were in the same class.
Michael Williams.
Michael, yeah. So they're on the same team in the all-star game. And one's on the right side, one's on the left side. The poor quarterback of the other team didn't have a chance.
Yeah.
But in that day, Tyree had a much better day, and he had good practices. Not that McHale didn't. Like, McHale had a great day too. But I would have, if you would have asked me at that time to bet you on who was going to be the better player, I would have picked Tyree. But I think I was wrong in that.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. There's been a bunch of them, but a lot of times, I'll tell you what happens is you love them when they're young, and you start to find ways to like poke holes in them as they get older.
Yeah,
sure.
But that's the process, man. In a lot of ways, it really is. So I noticed you've been forgetting a lot of things. You can't remember people's names and stuff. Is that because the way Kendrell Bell hit you back in the day? Is that
It probably has a lot to do with it, man.
So tell us about that. You played at Georgia Military, right? You were a linebacker?
Yep. So I played at Georgia Military College in the season of 99 and 2000. And in 1999, Kendrell Bell was a sophomore at Middle Georgia Junior College, and it was in Cochran. They don't have a football team anymore. I don't even think there's a Middle Georgia Junior College anymore. I think it's now part of Macon State or something.
Defunct.
But anyway, we played them 2 times a year because there was only 2 junior colleges in Georgia. So we ended up playing each other twice. And so the first game, we played them at their place. And Kendrell played both ways for them. He played fullback and he played middle linebacker. Well, they ran a lot of ISO. And if you're familiar with the ISO, the fullback's going to try and blow up play side linebacker, and then the tailback's going to make a cut off of that. So I'm playing inside linebacker, and my key is the fullback. So when I see the fullback come downhill, here I come downhill. The A-gap opens up. They double team the nose, and this guy's getting reached over here. It's just me and him in the hole. He hits me, and the next thing that hits the ground is the back of my helmet. And I really don't remember a whole lot after that. And so my guys picked me up, and they're like, "You okay?" No, not really. And so I go off, and they bring somebody else in. I finally kind of get my thoughts together. Well, I was in the goal line package also. So they get down in about the 3-yard line, and here they come too tight with I formation again. Well, key in the fullback. Fullback's coming down here. Here's ISO again. He hits me again. The exact same thing happens. The first thing that hits the ground is the back of my head. And at that point, I questioned whether or not I wanted to continue to play the game of football.
Hey, listen, dude, better men than you, I guarantee you. Better men than all of us, because
I'm telling you, I played against if you remember a guy named Jasper Sanks.
I do.
Yeah.
I played against Jasper in high school. I played against what's his name? Was it Douglas that went to Tennessee and then played with Baltimore? Jamal Lewis. Played against him in high school. Played against at GMC. There were 9 future NFL players on our team. Okay, I don't know how many we played when we went out to Texas and play other people. There were probably some that were on the Middle Georgia team besides Kendrell as well. I've hit a bunch of people in my lifetime. I can assure you it's not even close. Nobody has hit me the way that Kendrell Bell hit me. No one.
You're talking about the AFC.
Better than that.
You're talking about AFC Defensive Rookie of the Year. You know, like, I mean, you're talking about a guy in 2 years at Georgia that did just unbelievable things.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. You think of if you've ever been in a car wreck, because I've been in a head-on collision before, right?
Yeah.
Like in a head-on, boom. If you stop, they stop. I promise you, I'd rather do that 100 more times than to get hit by Kendrell Bell once.
Yeah.
I'm talking about it hurt. Everything on my body hurt, man.
If you never played against the guy that good, like if you never played against, I mean, it's a different thing. It wasn't painful. It was painful to my pride, but I played against Jonathan Smith, who we called him Fred Smith at Clinch County, who went on to play for Georgia Tech, had a 1,000-yard receiving for Georgia Tech, returned punts for the Buffalo Bills for about 6 years. And I was playing center, and he caught a pick against us. And I thought I had a beat on him, and I thought I had him. And I went and I tried to blow it up because I played defense too. I went to wrap up and everything. I blinked as I was going, I guess, and I came up with nothing. Like didn't touch his jersey. Didn't feel the wind off of him or nothing. He was gone. I mean, I had no idea what happened.
The only other guy that hit me even close to that, and you guys probably remember, you know him from coaching, Antonio Andrews. They call him Crazy from Griffin.
I never met him. No, I hadn't spent a whole lot of time around Griffin.
Antonio Andrews, he's a high school coach now, and he was the head coach at Griffin for a little while. He's been a defensive coordinator a bunch of different places. Antonio Andrews, when he was in high school, I was in high school. He was playing for Griffin, and he was playing tight end, and they ran a wing tee. And we ran like a split defense with 3 technique, a shade, and 2 30 backers. Yeah. And they run, and he down blocked me one time, and that was the closest to anything that Kendrell Bell hit me. But yeah, Antonio Andrews can stroke you too. And hey, Cozy Coleman, if you remember Cozy Coleman, we're playing Southwest DeKalb, and Cozy Coleman's playing tackle, and they're running zone at me. They just reach our 3 technique, and the tackle turns up, and it has to be Cozy Coleman. He hits me, and like the film just shows me flying through the air. It's almost like cartoonish. You know? I look up the next September, and he's starting left tackle protecting Peyton Manning as a true freshman. I'm like, hey, I got video of him making me look like a cartoon character.
Well, Joe, we finish off every show by asking 2 guests the same question, and I'm going to ask you. Listen, you out of body experience, but you're dead, right? You're standing over your own dead body, and you get to plan your own funeral. Who's sending you off? Eulogy, song, rapper, performing artist, poet, whoever. Who's sending you off?
Oh man, wow! I wish I'd have known that you were going to ask that question. I would have thought about it beforehand. I'll take the easy way out. My brother.
Yeah.
Hey, shout out to my brother. Just won a state championship. Running back,
Thomas Central. Yeah. Ran into him at Disney World a few years ago when I was on my sabbatical. So
he just went to Disney again last weekend. Took his boy down there.
It's just wild, man.
He goes to Disneyland like I go to Buc-ee's, man. Like all
So David's sending you off, huh?
Yeah, I'm taking the easy way out because I can't think of anything more clever.
I thought you might say George Strait or somebody like that.
Now, hey, George Strait could. I tell you what, I saw Chris Stapleton in concert at the Benz last year. Now I could go out to Chris Stapleton.
Yeah,
and listen, I like a lot of music, right? And I had listened to a lot of Chris Stapleton before I went. I didn't know that guy could shred on a guitar the way that he does. Like,
I don't know that.
I had no idea. Like, if he didn't want to sing anymore, he could just be like a guitarist.
He's a prodigy. From a songwriting standpoint, from a musician standpoint, that voice, he's a prodigy, man. There's just no doubt. I mean,
if you haven't seen him live, you need to do that.
Listen, I don't make that national preps money. I can't. I think people out here forking out all this money for these concerts.
Listen, we were in the rafters. You know what I mean? You know where they put the extra seats at? Like way up there, they got like the bleacher seats. It looks like the ones that are at the rec football field, and they drop down. That's where we were at.
I'm about to go to Game Time, type in my promo code DAWGS so I can get $20 off because, dude, listen, I went to CMA Fest about 10 years ago, maybe 9 years ago, and we paid for some decent tickets, like $60 a piece. And we saw Brad Paisley and we saw Zach Brown. I mean, we saw some good stuff, man. Dude, $60, you can't get out of there $60 worth of drinks now.
Now, I got a question for you two. Okay. Now, Jake, this may not apply to you.
There's more than one of us. I'm just saying.
The smart one, not the short, stupid one. Okay. You get to have dinner with one of these three people. Okay.
All right.
Alex Anthopoulos, Bill Walsh, or John Wooden. Who you having dinner with?
I'm going with Wood. Personally, I feel like he's just one of the great motivators of all time. I mean, like the way that the reverence that people hold him in.
Because you're not a Braves fan.
Hey, I don't think I'd choose Alex Anthopoulos either because I think Bill Walton might have a psychedelic or two on him.
I think he said Bill Walsh.
Oh, I thought you said Bill Walsh.
Walsh, okay. Or Anthopoulos.
I would probably
any self-respecting Braves fans got to go with Anthopoulos, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd rather have dinner with John Sherholtz. I want to know about my Braves, like my Braves. Like I love these Braves, don't get me wrong, but them 90s Braves, man, they raised me, dude. They raised me. But I love Alex Anthopoulos.
So, hey, quick little tidbit. So those Braves, my dad was the general manager of a Mitsubishi dealership in Marlboro. It's called South Lake Mitsubishi. And Tom Glavine is like third year in major leagues. Just walks on the lot, wants to buy a Mitsubishi 3000 GT, if you remember those cars. So buys the car, and then my dad and them talk him into doing some commercials and some stuff like that. So anyway, over my high school career, I get to know Tom Glavine. So we go down to spring training. I get to play catch with him and Smoltz and Maddox. And so I got a 95 Braves baseball signed by the entire team. I got a 90 the World Series ball. I got a 98 All-Star game signed by the entire National League. So I got lucky and got to meet some of those guys.
That's awesome.
And I had a Glavine glove, a game-worn glove, right? I have it in a box of stuff at my mom's house. Somehow or another, that box gets sent to the Goodwill.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Oh, that's a sad.
I come home. I come to my mom's house. I'm like, hey, where's my glove? She's like, what are you talking about? I was like, it was in that box over there. She said, oh, I took it to the Goodwill. I'm like,
no.
You have any idea what was in that?
That sucks. Some poor kid that's never had anything go his way ever got that glove. That's
and he doesn't know what it is.
I don't know. He got his name stitched on it.
He doesn't know that it's.
It had his name stitched in the side of it.
Man, that's awful. That's awful.
Like it was a legit. It had the Major League MLB patch on it. Like it was a legit. Like it was,
All right, Joe. My question for everybody is this, and I'm really interested in yours because you're a man on the road. You get out a lot. You've been to a lot of small towns all over the state. You played JUCO ball. So the question I ask everybody is, what is the worst hotel room you've ever stayed in?
Oh, there's a Super 8 motel.
Here we
right
go.
Outside.
Yes.
Right outside of Council Bluff, Iowa, where Iowa Western is. And I was coaching at the time. And like, if you look up Council Bluff, Iowa, there ain't nothing within 45 minutes to an hour. It just ain't nothing. Okay. And our head coach at the time just would not stay any further than an hour from the field. And this is like the only Roach motel that you can find that's within an hour. And it was horrible. I swear that 2 murders, guaranteed chain smoker was in it before I was in there. Probably a keg party within a week that we were in there. It smelled like stale beer and cigarettes, and and there was burn holes in the match, and I mean every just nightmare that you can think of. Yes, yeah.
Super 8 stands for 8 reasons. You should be able to come up with 8 reasons you can't stay there.
Yeah, yeah, it's bad. It's bad, man. I tell you, the only other sleeping experience that was maybe worse is I slept in my truck on a trip to Talladega before the race, and it was a 1993 Mitsubishi Mighty Max.
Oh yeah!
Oh wow! Nice.
Dude, let me tell you something. Every man
and I slept on the inside with the bent seat with the 5-speed handle in the middle.
Yeah.
Oh.
Dude, hey Joe, you're gonna find this kind of funny. Every man in my family, for years, my Uncle Kyle, my granddad, my other Uncle Jimmy, and my dad, all 4 of them on Mitsubishi Mighty Maxes. They would snatch them up anytime they saw them
because they run forever.
Yeah, unbelievable.
You cannot break that vehicle. It's the most well-designed vehicle ever made. You cannot break it.
Yeah, I totally agree.
All you can do is blow up the motor. You blow up the motor, just drop another one in it. It takes you maybe 45 minutes. It's not difficult. There's not one computer chip in that damn thing.
Man, thanks so much for being gracious with your time. Good luck with everything you got going on, and we do appreciate it, man. It's been a lot of fun.
Not a problem. I hope I didn't tell any stories to get me or any of y'all in trouble either.
I don't think so.
We're good.
I don't think so. I think you're a model guest.
Hartley may dispute that Roquan, but he knows it's true. See you guys. Appreciate it. Thanks so much,
buddy.
You got it, man. A lot of fun. Joe Wendon is always a lot of fun. Love that guy. A great deal. And listen, I'm trying to get our next guys, our next
our friends at Factor, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely. Trying to get my my ad read pulled up, and I'm just going to be honest with you, I can't find it anywhere.
Let's just go live with it, man. Okay. You've eaten the Factor meals. You love them. They're delicious, and they cater to all of your needs. That's the thing about Factor. You can get it how you like it. So it's what fits your diet and what you want to eat. You can go over, check them out right now. Our promo code DawgsHQ, DAWGS50, will get you 50% off your first order. And obviously, some terms and conditions apply. But get over there, check it out, see what you think. Give it a run. I know, Ro, you and I have had a chance to try these out. I was impressed. What can I say?
Dude, I'll be honest with you. They sent me that cavatappi with an Italian-style pork ragu. Delicious. Absolutely delicious. I wish they'd have sent me 6 of those.
Yeah. So go over, check out factor.com/DAWGS50 and use promo code DAWGS50. And you can get 50% off your first order. A little bit of breakfast in there. Like I said, you can go high protein. You can go pescatarian. They got a veggie option if you're into that kind of thing. Something easy and quick. You're going to have something delicious on your table, ready to roll. And you can get it at great savings right now. So
hey, and it's perfect during the holiday season too. Perfect during the holiday season when you've got a lot going on, when you're trying to eat healthy, when you're trying to maybe save up some of those calories for Christmas Day. Maybe you want 6 pounds of ham to go inside of you on Thanksgiving Day. Well, go ahead and save your calories by eating Factor meals. And another thing, New Year's resolutions. Stock up, get ready, maybe get familiar with these guys because if you're trying to drop a few pounds, it's a good place to go because this stuff's healthy, man. It's just a good way to eat whole food and to get it ready made in such a way that takes the hassle out of meal planning altogether. And like Ruth said, DawgsHQ. Check it out.
Yep, for sure. Good stuff.
We jaking off?
Let's do it, brother. It's time to jake off. It's my favorite part of the week.
Oh yeah. First of all, before we do that, I had somebody ask me. So somebody was like, "Are you ready for this transfer portal thing to be over?" And seeing as how everybody in my house has been sick the past few days, I think no. I'm actually kind of enjoying that part of it. What's bothering me more than anything is having a wife with the flu and 2 kids with strep and
Sure.
the transfer portal. So
Sure.
I'm loving the action, man. I'm loving the action. I'm loving what it's doing for us as far as bringing people over to the site. And I feel like I'm going to toot our own horn a little bit because I don't think I've ever been anywhere and been more proud of the way we're covering stuff than we are right now.
Yeah, it's been wire to wire. There's no question about that. But here's the thing. I get it from the normal person's perspective. I think you and I are enjoying this because it's a boom, right? And it's constant action. It's all the time. I understand the people that are wary about the change and about the, what's this going to do and those questions that it's arising. I'm not one of these like, this is the apocalypse, it's going to destroy the game kind of people. But I understand the people who are saying this is a lot of change happening very quickly in a way that I don't understand and reminds me very little of the game that I love. I do understand people who feel that way.
Yeah, and I will say that the game changed a lot, but it did change gradually too. Like it's changed a lot over the past 100 years, but a lot of that change was gradual. And
well, I was going to say that, within the last 5, we've probably seen some of the most startling changes in history, right?
Yeah, within the last 10 years, we went from 2 teams playing for it to 4 years teams playing for it. Now we're going to have 12 teams playing for it.
Sure.
So on top of all that, you've got conference realignment, conference expansion. I do think it's one of those things where
I hate that more, just so we're clear. I hate that a lot more than the transfer portal.
Yeah, I do too. I hate the idea of a 12-team playoff, and I know that what that would mean for me this year. But I hate the idea of a 12-team playoff. I really do.
Yeah.
I think transfer portal and all that stuff has just come up for the NCAA. I mean, I think that's just kind of like, hey, you kind of deserve this. You really drug your feet forever and didn't really have any interest in fixing anything, so this is what you're getting.
Yeah, they kicked Cam down the road too long for sure. Yeah. So, all right, you want to go first? You want me to do it? I don't care.
Yeah. So, sticking with the Christmas theme, even though I asked you, I think I asked you about Christmas gifts last week. What is so we all know what traditional Thanksgiving looks like. What does traditional Christmas meal look like at the Roos household or at your household? I know kind of you got more than one dinner at more than one place.
Yeah, sure. No, it's not just me, right? I think the real classic for my family really has been always Christmas Eve. We go to my grandmother's on Christmas Eve, and it's a big finger food feast. And it's like the one time a year that we do that. So it's pretty cool. It's like, your traditional pigs in a blanket, or you do taco salad, maybe a little bit of that. It's a bunch of snack stuff. The cocktail weenies and the barbecue sauce, or the crispy wontons with the beef in them. Marinated cheese is a big hit. My aunt always makes that one. But it's more of a snack-based thing. And then on Christmas Day, we do a little bit of breakfast in the morning. My mom makes biscuits and gravy, that kind of thing. And then in the evening, we do like just a traditional ham, some potato salad, etc. What got you laughing?
Andy Staples did a video where he's reading Dylan Raiola's poem.
I just was watching the exact same thing, Jake.
I can't. He's doing it so dramatically. I love Andy so much, dude. This is so good. He's really getting after it like Canterbury Tales, which is he's really getting after it 100%. So dude, for me, Christmas is just all about the ham. It's all about the ham. Need that salt.
Are you a honey baked guy?
Not really. No, I like
really?
a good Lee salt smoked ham.
Okay.
Slice it, give me chunks, give me slices, and then get down to the bone where you're, trying to carve it away from the bone. We'll throw that in a pot of water. Don't put too much water in there. Throw it in a pot of water, boil it down till the ham starts falling off the bone. Throw a little rice in there, do a little ham bone and rice, buddy, with some lima beans. Good stuff. It's good stuff. Really, honestly, you throw the ham bone in there. You get ready. If you do the ham bone, you boil it down or whatever, and then you can kind of keep it in the fridge or freeze it up or whatever for New Year's Day. You can break it out on New Year's Day with the black eyed peas and the ham bone and rice and the collards, hoppin' john. Get the year started off right.
Get your hog jowls in there.
Right.
People on here do not know how this man gets down on a bone. I'm talking about. You are not. No meat left behind in any scenario. I've never seen anybody eat chicken the way you do. It's incredible. It blew my mind. The first time I saw it, I was like, "Is this guy for real? Like, is this serious?"
I make chicken look like it's been pressure washed.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was actually for the NBA draft, or it was the one of the drafts that we did.
It was the NBA. Yeah, we got together for the NBA draft, and I was eating those lemon pepper.
That was like one of the first times we really hung out.
Yeah,
with the I was like, holy shit, is this guy serious? Like, what is going on right now?
Eat every piece of cartilage and knuckle and everything off that chicken.
Absolutely. All right. So my question for you, Jake Rowe. I went a little hard this weekend. I told you that I wasn't feeling real good on Sunday. And I'm about 80% today. I got a little bit into the old booze and just went a little too hard. I'm too old to do it, and I know better, and I shouldn't do it. But my buddy Nick was in town, and you know how it is when Nick and I get together. When Nick and I get together, you know how that goes. Yeah. So my question to you is: when you wake up and you've had a little too much, what's your hangover cure?
Yeah, I don't know how to cure one. I'd 3,000 calories as fast as I can get it in me. I had to look that up one time. Like I had to look it up to be like, why am I a bottomless pit when I have a hangover? It's because all your glycogen stores get kind of depleted or whatever. But I tell you what, it pays to be hungover on a Saturday as opposed to a Sunday, because there's something about Chick-fil-A. There's something about like 3 Chick-fil-A chicken sandwiches, dressed up differently, each one. And as much Diet Dr. Pepper as I can get down my gullet.
The caffeine is the key, I think. The caffeine really
caffeine helps. Caffeine helps. I will say this though. Hangovers are kind of like having babies out of wedlock. The best way to deal with it is just to not get one.
Yeah,
what I mean? Like the best way to and I've had both. I've had both happen to me.
Both of these things have happened in my life.
Something's happened.
Well, you know me, and you know how much I'm looking forward to tomorrow.
Yeah. You and I have totally agreed. The day after a hangover is the best day of your life.
What sucks though is the older I'm getting, it's like 2 days, and it's like that's.
Honestly, but I've never had one of those. I've never had one.
Beat up, man. I did a number on myself. It was a shame.
Like I've had it to where hey, listen, I could tell I had I could tell I had a long couple of days. Maybe I'm still a little bit tired, but in terms of that kind of feeling, I've never really gotten into the second day before that I can really think of.
Like I said, I'm at about 80-85%. I've gotten progressively better as the day has gone on. But man, tomorrow I'm really looking forward to it. I'm going to wait.
The one thing I do normally need first thing in the morning, if I've really tied one on, especially if it's been beer and I've had a big meal, is I got to have an Alka-Seltzer. I got to wake up and go plop, plop, fizz, fizz. And kind of get my acid reflux in check, and then we can start moving forward with other solutions.
Sure.
Hair of the dog is always a good option if you've got time to do it. You talk about NCAA kicking the can down the road. A buddy of mine got married a few years back at the Graduate in Athens, and all our buddies, a bunch of us from college, I think they started filing in like on Thursday morning. So Thursday night, we go downtown, we get after it. Wake up next day, hungover. So hair of the dog, starting about 1 o'clock. I had some days off. So we get rolling again. We get after it Friday night, day of the wedding. I feel absolutely terrible. I go into the wedding feeling absolutely terrible.
Oh, no.
And then, yeah.
You didn't go again, did you?
I went one more time, buddy. One more time. Honestly, but here's the deal. Woke up Sunday morning. I felt okay. I felt okay.
Yeah.
We went over to their house for a little brunch deal.
Now, that was my problem this weekend. I kind of stacked 2 back to back. Like I went out a little bit hard on Friday night, more than I intended to. Had a couple too many beers probably. And then on Saturday night we just stayed up all night. And we went to, there's a bar in town here in Copper Hill that you can still smoke in. And which is I love the fact that you can do that because it's such a throwback, but it makes you feel like absolute ass to go stand in that place and breathe that smoke in. And I mean, the place is caked in tar. And you know, you're sucking down beers. You're not paying attention. You're probably going to smoke a cigarette or two somewhere along the way in a place like that. And it was a bad decision. So I'm looking forward to a very restful week this week. And I'm going to take it easy on myself. That's going to be my Christmas gift to myself.
Well, we appreciate Joe Wendon coming on tonight. And for coming on our show, we're going to give him the same thing we give everybody else, the legendary Bark After Dark T-shirt that says I went out looking for a 10, but I settled for 2 5s. And he's going to enjoy that shirt. I wish we do need to get one made. That would be a fun little thing to do for Bark.
A year's supply of turtle wax also.
Year's supply of homemade chapstick. For Joe Wendon. But hey, listen, we'll be back with you tomorrow morning on this DawgsHQ YouTube channel where Rusty and I will actually be talking about something of substance. We don't know what it is yet. And then we'll have a signing day show. We have not nailed down a time for that, but we will hopefully announce that first thing in the morning. Be back with you on Thursday again to recap National Signing Day. Busy week. Come on over to DawgsHQ. We actually do work.
I was going to say, I assume we'll be off next Monday, though, given that it's Christmas.
Yeah, absolutely. We will be off next Monday. Palmer may be here talking to you guys by himself. If he is, good on him. We'll pay him a little.
Hanging out with the Civil War mirror.
Yeah. All right, guys. Take care. Oh.